Hey there, welcome to 21 Secrets to Retail Success. I'm your host and facilitator, Nicole Sims, and welcome to day 16. Today we're talking to Martin Amadio, who is a co-partner of Inity InStore, a consulting company that helps brick-and-mortar stores grow traffic, stay competitive, and have growth within the technology. Today we talk about all things traffic, how to drive traffic to your stores, how to create an experience that creates traffic in your stores, and it's going to be a great conversation. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Hi, Martin. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Nicole.
Nice to see you. So I'm glad to be part of this conversation today. I'm so glad you took charge and part of our show today. I appreciate it.
Glad to do it. Looking forward to it as well.
All right. So we'll start with the questions. So my first question for you is, what's your one of your number one or top secrets in creating traffic for a retail business?
Well, a lot of novice retailers believe that they can go into a location and people will come, almost like that movie, if we build it, they will come. And one of the things they have to think about is that retail is about traffic. And how do you drive traffic to your store? And traditionally, if you look back, malls have charged a percentage of your gross for your rent because they could almost guarantee traffic, at least in the old days. I don't know if malls are attracting as much attention. I guess in some cases they are, but they were using traffic, which is why your rent would be higher in a mall than it would be in a strip center or some other retail spot. Another thing is I don't believe there's any such thing as an inexpensive retail rent. For the most part, you pay retail rent based on the traffic that location generates. You don't get, there's no free ride for traffic. So that your options are to advertise. And the question about advertising is, where do you advertise? How do you advertise? And to whom do you advertise? The first thing I would suggest that any small retailer does is create an email list and use that email list through constant contact so that they can promote a bi-weekly or monthly mailing that they do to all the customers who've been to their store. Because truthfully, your best prospect is someone who's already been in your store and bought something.
Exactly.
So again, traffic is something you have to work on. It doesn't just happen. People think they'll open in fact, I joke about this. A lot of people who have no business experience open a store, buy merchandise, and pray people come in. And I found that prayer works, but not to drive traffic.
I love that.
Traffic is not something that happens on a prayer, but it does happen if you create promotions. One of the things I've learned in working with retailers is that sales, which are really events, are what bring people to the store, because they may have seen something on Tuesday, they find out goes on sale next week, and they'd like to come back and buy it because now it's on sale. But maybe it was a little bit too much, or maybe maybe you're a retailer who doesn't run sales, but you can run events, events such as an anniversary event, and actually do it. Again, this has a lot to do with the type of retailer you are, but you could have, a little buffet of cheese and crackers and maybe a little bit of wine or maybe some soft drinks, something that makes it like a party, something that sets it apart from day to day. Because you do have your day-to-day customers, but you'll see that if you create promotional events, you'll build up on those days. And then you have one of the things I've learned from retailers, especially my wife, the retailer, is anniversaries. In other words, once you've been in business for a while, you can anniversary your day, your week, your month, your year. And that way you can see what you did last year, what you can do this year to build it better. And again, this all goes back to driving traffic. Because you open the store does not mean anyone's coming to it. That applies, by the way, to the internet as well. If you have an online store, your online store isn't there's a billion people on the internet. There's no reason they should find your store.
Right.
So it's something you should keep in mind when you go about what the biggest misconceptions novice retailers have is that retail is about traffic, and traffic, because in most cases, retail stores are pull locations, which means you're selling merchandise that no one actually has to say, here it is, here's how it works, buy it. In most cases, retailer has products that people already know about or want or have a desire for, and they say, how much is this? Or it has a sign, how much is this? So the best thing you can do is promote your store in every way you can and think about what your trading area is. So in other words, if you're in Cincinnati, you want to make sure that you're advertising to the people in the neighborhood who would come to your store. How far away do people come to your store? Do they come to your store from 50 blocks, 50 miles, or 50 yards? I mean, it could be simply a neighborhood store, in which case you don't want to advertise or do anything that would draw people out. And today there's something called over-the-top advertising on television, which is fairly inexpensive, because what has happened is the internet and social media has been combined with television. So now your consumers' interests and viewing habits are combined so that you as an advertiser can reach customers or potential customers who are already primed for something you sell. For instance, if you're a sewing shop, you want people who already have sewing interests. You're not going to advertise to me. And even if I'm 2 blocks away from your store, I'll never go in.
Right.
And that's the other thing, because the location of a store really drives your traffic. If you think about it, you could have the best store in the world, but if I never drive by it, I didn't know it existed. Right. So the question is there are methods to driving sales. And I think in today's world, email marketing, social media marketing are vital. And if you can now take that social media marketing and drive it to some very inexpensive television advertising, which is known as over the top.
That's good.
You can get the right people to see who you are and basically build a loyalty, because at the end of the day, your loyal customers are the ones you're most interested in. The ones who are right there and the ones who come back again and again.
No, that's good. I like how you said that too. Create events, curate some kind of thing that draw people to your store. But also, I know a lot of people are told, especially small retailers, that in order to get traffic, you have to do paid ads. Just do ads on Facebook and Facebook ads, and Instagram ads. That's all you have to do. So I like how you gave other alternatives.
It's not necessarily paid ads even on Facebook, because Facebook, you can build a following and you don't have to pay for it.
Right.
Although you can buy a paid ad on, and by the way, paid ads on Facebook are quite inexpensive.
Yeah.
But they don't actually, it's not what you'd want to rest your laurels on. You want to make sure that you build a real clientele of followers.
Great.
And the followers in the store are really it's your most valuable asset. It's not your merchandise. It's not your location. It's the people who are loyal to your store who come back again and again. And depending on the type of product you're selling, whether it be home furnishings or women's fashion or some other segment, whether it be, I know these people who opened up a tea shop. And the tea shop was, they had different promotions. For instance, they had a really great promotion at, I think it's July 14th, which is Bastille Day. And they were everyone in the shop dressed up as the kind of people who were beheaded. They dressed themselves up. They themed the whole day.
Nice.
Everything was themed. Here in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area, we have service members days. And you have a day that service members get a special discount. And these are the things that drive traffic. Because unless there's some excitement, there's nothing will happen. It's not that nothing will happen. You can't wait for something to happen because you have rent due, you have utilities, and you have payroll that you have to make. And your job as a retailer is to create the traffic so that people come in and spend money.
Exactly. That's good. That's really good. Be creative. So that's why I threw the Facebook ads out there, because I think a lot of people just think that's all there is to growing traffic. And you just gave them like 5 different ways to get it organically or inexpensively that can actually be better for you and more consistent for you. Give you better results.
One of the things to think about advertising, and this is very important, advertising is not a one-off. Advertising is cumulative.
Right.
And if you think about it, a single ad does nothing. I mean, there's so many ads that I see that I think, oh, I don't remember that product, or when did I see that product? So in other words, advertising is an ongoing, but you have to be very judicious in how you spend your advertising dollars. There are things you can do that don't cost money. I mean, signage in your store or outside the window. These are important things. People need to know you're there. They need to know that not only that you exist, but that you have something special to offer. And what makes your store different than the big box stores? Because, with American Express doing the shop local twice a year, that's an important thing, because people really do, especially now after the pandemic and being stuck in the house for a year or two, they're really interested in getting out.
Right.
And in getting out means, what do? You go someplace where you can interact with products and have something of a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word. I mean, I am odd because I go into stores all the time and just walk around and look. And by the way, let's talk about the difference between retail stores. I assume most of our audience are not the CVSs and the Targets and the TJ Maxxes of the world.
Right.
But if you watch what they do to attract customers, you should start to mimic what they're doing and scale it down to your size.
That's a good point.
And that's what's important. And I think one of the things, I know this because I've seen it over and over again, is these kind of events. Like, we're going to have, you can have a personal appearance by one of your vendors. A vendor who sells you, for instance, a product that's unique. They could come into your store for a personal appearance. Come meet, Jessica Showers. She is the person who designed these sweaters. She's in our store today. Again, I don't know, not everything, there's no one size fits all. Not everything works for every type of store, retail, or person. But you have to think about it in terms of, what can you do that will work?
I like that. Kind of picking back on there. So what do you think is, you kind of touched on a little bit of it, but what do you think is a common mistake a lot of these small retailers are making in running their businesses? We talk about not getting the traffic, but what are some other common mistakes you see out there?
Well, one of the things I noticed years ago was many retailers who spent the extra money to go into a formal mall or shopping center were paying the extra money, but then ended up spending money on advertising as well, because they never recognized that they were paying a premium for their space because they were virtually guaranteed traffic. One of the things that malls and shopping centers do is, at least they did, I don't know if they're doing it post-pandemic, I think they may still be, is looking for a percentage of your gross sales as part of your rent. And when you stop and think about it, a lot of, again, novice retailers don't understand that that's advertising dollars you're spending. So now if you turn around and start to spend money to advertise in addition to that, you're duplicating your efforts, and I hate to say advertising is wasting your money, but that's why it's really important where you advertise, when you advertise, and how you advertise, because you can advertise in local newspapers, which really aren't much of anything today, but they are still, again, who's your customer? Like, I have to say, where I live, there's a lot of people over 50, and they all get the newspaper. I don't get the newspaper. I do everything online. but they get the newspaper and they're looking for things in the newspaper. And it's a place to advertise, but you have to know your market, what are the choices in your market.
Right.
And that's the most important thing, because each retail store is its own ecosystem,
Right.
consisting of location, product, customers, and prices.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And
That's good.
that's what you have to think about.
That's good. I like that. I didn't think about that angle about that yet, because a lot of people are now, a lot of the strip malls are opening up. There's a lot of vacancies now, so they're really looking for small retailers to fill those spaces. So you've been a good point about making sure you're looking at what you're paying them, and is that considered advertising dollars? Because they might be happy to get into a retailer or get into a mall. I got a mall, I got a contract. But I look at the fine print, like, okay, what are you actually paying them in your rent? Because it could be advertising dollars and you'd be spending more. So now you're doubly paying for something that
You're doubly paying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because a lot of malls, again, now I've noticed that the dying malls, there are dying malls all over the country.
Yeah.
The dying malls are opening up to small retailers.
Exactly.
And they're doing it almost like pop-up shops.
Yep, exactly.
You're seeing pop-up shops everywhere. And a pop-up shop gives you the opportunity to go in, but again, they don't have traffic. That's why they went out. That's why the malls are full. Because if no one's going, and if you think about it, if you can buy the same merchandise at a Macy's or a Sears or a Kmart doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But the merchandise, what makes your merchandise worth coming to see, as opposed to going to a store like TJ Maxx or Home Goods or any of 1,000 other stores? I think often the people who opened this tea shop did a really good job of creating an atmosphere where, well, that's another thing, is they had a consumable. It wasn't a one-time purchase. It was something that people bought every 6 weeks, every 2 weeks. They kept coming back all the time. And what the people at the store did was create it so that you wanted to come back. They had tastings.
Oh, nice.
The tastings were what got people to try the new teas, which they hadn't already bought. So what you're doing is a tasting, if you will, is like a sample. Have a sample, taste it. Isn't it good? And they do that in wine and spirit stores as well. You have a tasting sponsored by the brewer or the supplier, and that's how people get to taste something new. And you can't do that with sweaters or coats or clothing,
right?
But you can have something where you entice people to come in, and that's what's important, because the idea that you have a store does not mean anyone's coming into it, and that would be the same for an online shop as much as a brick and mortar shop.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's really good stuff. So kind of going on with that. So let's say, okay, now we're open and we have a decent amount of traffic. We're doing a decent amount of sales and we've done some good advertising and we've done our events. Now, there's opportunities out there using technology. I know that's really, did you know a lot about how can a small retailer use technology today to actually grow their business and get, more, just grow their business using technology right now. Yeah.
Well, one of the things you notice about retailers and technology is technology generally is used by retailers for operations.
Yep.
Because at the end of the business, if you look at any franchise, franchisors are looking for operators. They don't want people who, and even big retailers, the managers of those stores don't make a lot of decisions other than operational decisions. In fact, in some stores, the lights go on and off from central headquarters.
Yeah, that's true.
And the temperature is set by outside forces, so that a store manager has a very narrow parameters from which they can operate. But it's about operations, and technology has been developed for retailers around operations.
Right.
And operations contribute to your costs, which affect your bottom line. But there's not a lot of thought given in technology to top line sales. Like, what can you do with technology to drive your top line sales? I mean, I'll make a suggestion. If you had a QR code on every product in the store, people would simply point their phone at it and get what they were looking for.
Yep.
Because that, I should emphasize that not everyone, and it has to do, there's a threshold of age. I don't know at what age people are still looking for help. When you think about help in a retail store, you know, have you been served? Can I help you? Do you need any? And a lot of younger people will say, no, I don't need any help. I'm fine. Where older people are looking for help. And I don't know what the age bracket is. And it really has everything to do with the type of store you are and whether you're a discovery store. And a discovery store is people, you know, look, if the pandemic taught us anything, it's that American consumers love to spend money. They love to spend. And what your job as a retailer is to give them reasons to spend their money.
Exactly.
There's nothing else you can say about that.
Yep.
That is, and your job is to entice them to spend money. Now, how do you do that? You could do that with, you know, I was talking the other day about using old iPads. Old iPads you can pick up for, you know, $100 somewhere, right? You can set those iPads up around your store that say things like summer sale or available in 7 sizes and have a use for them. And it's not expensive at all. The only thing you have to worry about is shoplifting, which is a whole other, you know, I know that jewelry is easily pilfered. And I should point out that I've worked with Bloomingdale's for many years. And one of the most fascinating things to me is they post at the employee entrance what the shrink is. And the shrink is we got him $50,000 worth of this stuff, but when we took inventory, we had 48,000. Where'd the other 2,000 go?
Yeah.
And no one can say whether it was destroyed, whether it was stolen, so in other words, that's a big deal, is where do things go? And I've learned that large retailers will spend more money protecting goods they already own than trying to get people to buy more goods.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, how you get people to buy more goods with technology is, it really has to be a combination of personal service along with technology.
Okay.
So in other words, the technology that probably is most important is your email, your cell phone, and your text. Texting customers about an event is really a powerful thing because no one ignores a text.
Nope.
But a lot of people ignore email. Email is something you can ignore. A text is not something you can ignore. So when you get your lists, you can do your list of people's email addresses, but also their their phone numbers or their cell phone numbers, so you can text them. Not everyone's going to give it up.
Right.
It is, but you then maybe make something special so that they get a special discount if they respond to a text.
Right.
You know, a secret sale only available to these people. And that's all done very easily on your phone. There are programs you can use. These are the sort of things I help retailers come up with, is these programs to drive sales. That's great. And technology has, you know, I do a lot with what's known as digital signage, which is basically large plasma or display screens in stores that sort of augment information about the stores, because people want information.
Yes.
People don't want to be helped. They want information. Right now, I'm trying to buy a runner for our daughter's wedding next month. And it's frustrating to get someone to answer the questions. You know, you have a little person in the lower corner who isn't really a person, it's an AI.
Yes.
And they have a set number of things they can answer before they have to refer you to an actual individual.
Oh, wow.
You can see that in anything you go to. You really want, that's technology that's gone too far.
Yes.
I think that having an actual person answer your question, because there's there's no artificial intelligence that will ever replace a well-trained human being who's answering questions for another human being.
Exactly.
And I think it's a comedian, John Mulvaney, said, every time I go online, I have a robot ask me if I'm not a robot.
That's so true.
You have to prove you're not a robot. You're a robot.
That's so true.
And I don't know how many people accept that, but it doesn't help business.
Right.
It doesn't help your business. And if you're a small retailer, you need to hang on to every transaction you can.
Yes. That's good. That's really good. Good stuff. So how can our audience connect with you and connect with what you're doing? Learn more about what you're doing.
Well, I have a company named Retail Media Services. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I have another company called Inity InStore, mm-hmm. which is I'm a principal in. But Retail Media Services is only me, and I help retailers figure out how to utilize technology, whether that be email, text messaging, digital signage, etc., to drive top line sales. Nice. I'm not interested in, it's not that I'm not interested. There's enough people who are helping retailers with operations,
right?
How to save money. My focus is in how to drive more sales. And I work with retailers to help them do that.
I love that. So we'll have a link to your company in the email, correct?
Yes, but it would be the Retail Media Services email, but I will give you that so you have it. It is Mamadio, Mamadio, at retailmediaservices.com.
Fantastic.
And I'm available almost any time. I sit at my desk every day waiting for those emails.
Wait for those emails.
And again, the shoemaker's son does not have really nice shoes. I don't do a good job of promoting myself because I have quite a bit of business now, but I'm always open to helping new retailers because I think think about this a moment. When everyone stopped shopping in March of 2000, mm-hmm. the world stopped because the world runs on retail sales.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether you're a manufacturer of giant gears, mm-hmm. that go into making fabric, mm-hmm. Everything goes right back to the retail consumer and what they purchase. And that's why I think retail is of utmost importance. It drives the world's economy.
I agree. We are very part of a very special and important industry. It's just a lot of times people just overlook it because I think retail is just way just to get goods, but actually it makes the world go around because you can't get what you need or want. And it also has a lot of people who are employed in it. It's a way of entrepreneurship. There's a lot of just things, the good things that come out of the retail industry. But we have to realize that without it, we don't really get what we need.
Well, and more important than that, it does take one of the things you have to realize is when you have a retail store, mm-hmm. it is your job to be there. Yeah. If you're not there, you have to have someone there. You have to be open when people are shopping.
Correct.
You mm-hmm. can't walk away. I call it, if you pardon me, it's a bad audience to say this to, but it's a retail prison. You can't go away because you want to go to someone's wedding unless you have some staff, and staff costs you money. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you have enough business that you can afford to hire people to do something, to fill in for you. But if you're not there, there's no business.
Exactly.
If your store is not open, you can't do business. So it's important to understand that, yes, you're an entrepreneur. One of the things about a retail store is versus another type of B2B business mm-hmm. is you can't go out and get customers.
Yeah.
You don't go out in the street and drag them in. Although I do remember back in Philadelphia growing up, there were people who would stand outside their stores in a street called South Street. And as you'd walk down the street, hey, buddy, come in here. Look, let me show you something. It was almost like a barker. Mm-hmm. That was something, you really can't do that because, again, what does that require? Traffic, people mm-hmm. walking by. Mm-hmm. And if no one's walking by, you just have to wait for them to come in. So what you have to do is create reasons for people to come into your store. Whether it be, again, I say the events are almost like a party. Mm-hmm. We're having our 5th anniversary party and event. and then you could have pictures up. I think one of the things I found was very effective with my wife's store was she would publish the pictures of the parties and people would look for themselves. And then she had a screen in the store that showed the pictures of last month's party, and people would wait. Oh, look, there's me and Janice on the screen. It was a cute little way to get people, because again, retail is about involvement.
Right.
You got to get people involved in what you're selling. And, you're not CVS. You're not, in most cases, retailers at this level are not selling necessities. They're selling luxuries of some, whether it be the luxury of chocolate covered pretzels or the luxury of, a nice sweater. But it is a luxury. It's not something many people need, but people love to spend money.
They
true. Love to come into a store. They love to be treated special.
Yes, that's important.
And when you can treat a person special, or make a savings club, or make a preferred customer list, and have them be that, then you have something to hang your hat on.
That's good.
Again, you can't. It's hard to make blanket statements about all retail stores.
Right.
But when you look at retailers and just go down the street, look at the cake stores that are open today, the cookie stores, they're not stores, they're shops, right? They're shops, and people are looking to shop, and they're looking to discover something. I used to tell my wife, you ought to put in your ads, miss a week and you miss a lot. Because if you turn your merchandise, then customers, that's the other thing is you have to keep your merchandise fresh.
Yes.
And if you didn't sell it this week and you got it for another week, blow it out.
Yep.
Reduce the price and sell it, get something new, because people want to see something new. Now, again, that doesn't work for like a tea shop.
No.
The tea shop has a wall of teas, and you get to pick this one or that one, or you can try other teas, and there might be a new offering you have this week, but it's not, your merchandise doesn't really, I don't want to say go stale, because I think there is stale tea, but you know what I mean. In other words, it's not as if, I saw that before, I didn't want it, I don't want it now. If there's a lamp you wanted, you got the lamp. If the lamp wasn't available anymore, it's not available anymore.
Right.
So I hope I've answered enough of your questions.
You did. But that was really good, Martin. That was really, really good. Really good, insightful thoughts that people are thinking, getting some different ideas, new perspectives. I think really fresh perspectives that people don't hear about, especially when dealing with small retail. We don't hear this kind of stuff. And that's why we're doing the show, because they hear a lot of the social media and internet stuff, but they don't hear the real grit of what it really takes to run a retail business. And that was the whole point. So that was really, really good. So before we leave, though, I have one more question for you. So if someone's watching this, what is the one thing you want them to walk away with? Everything that you said, but what is the one key point that if they don't get anything else, they get this?
Do whatever you can to drive traffic.
I love it.
Traffic is the lifeblood of retail stores. And that's why some people, I've seen this over the years, the rent is so cheap here. And the rent is cheap because nobody comes by.
Right.
And if you look at a main street, you'll see streets off to the side, a side street. The rent's probably cheaper on that side street, but you don't have the traffic you have.
Right.
Now, you could be a destination store. God bless you if you are, because that means people are driving. You're the traffic driver. Right. But for the most part, small retailers need to be in a place where there's a lot of people walking by or driving by. They call it footfall. You need a lot of footfall.
Right.
Because people coming by is what makes it is the lifeblood of your store. Again, now that in itself is not good, because it's not the only thing, because you have to have the merchandise, you have to have the price points, and you have to have the service.
Right.
And you have to have the environment. In other words, your store has to be welcoming. I went to a store the other day. I'm looking for a blue jacket for my daughter's wedding. I wear only black. And Dad, I want you to wear blue. I said, okay. So I'm looking for a blue jacket. I went to a store and the doors were filthy. I mean, the glass doors were dirty. And I said to myself, how much would it cost you
Right.
as a retailer to take Windex and clean your window every day. It would make my salespeople do that.
Right.
I was afraid to touch it, especially.
Yeah, I've been there.
Like, those are the sort of thing, but that's the kind of thing that makes the difference, because the environment of your store is what you're inviting people in.
Right.
And it has to be someplace they want to go.
Exactly.
So,
no, that's good. That's good. Perfect.
Clean is good.
Clean is good. I say that a lot. People like one of my top 5 things of having a great window in your store is to keep it clean. People are like, are you serious? I'm like, no, I'm serious. Number one is keep it clean. You think it's obvious, but it's not. To your point, there's like handprints, there's dust bunnies, like that takes away from your branding. It takes away from your experience. People coming back to your store like, oh, you're dirty. I don't want to, even though you have what I want. You're a dirty store. I don't feel good shopping here. So therefore I'm gonna go somewhere else. Something that small can take your traffic away from you. So yeah, you gotta be careful.
Also the other thing is if you do have a window display, you should change it regularly.
Yes.
Because that's what entices people to see what's new, what's coming in. And you have to keep the churn, because, just like a shark needs to keep moving to stay alive.
Exactly.
And a retailer needs to keep it interesting, to keep it happening, because you have a relationship with each and every one of your customers, and you have to build on that relationship and give them something that they're interested in. And again, these are generalizations we're speaking in,
but they make sense.
They're the same. It just happened to be different. So different products require different emphasis.
Yeah.
So I hope I've given you some information.
You did.
And I would love to help any of your customers. I will be able to work at a very attractive opening rate to work with them, to come up with some ideas on how to drive traffic and use technology in their business. And I guess we'll put that in the offering.
Yeah, that'll be definitely in the email. So the email they'll get this video in, we'll have all that information to connect with you and to hopefully connect with you and get some traffic, some ideas on how to get better traffic to their stores. Because everybody needs that, whether they're online and brick and mortar, but definitely brick and mortar stores need that.
And online traffic is very difficult to drive. It's not like a store. In other words, you can't pick a website that has existing traffic.
Right.
If you get a retail brick and mortar store, at least people are walking by or driving up.
Exactly.
But in an online store, you don't know where they are, and you have to build lists.
Right.
And building those lists is a challenge, but it's something that can be done once you identify who your customer is, where your customer lives, their primary interests, and take it from there.
Great. Well, thank you, Martin. This was fantastic. Great information, you guys. Definitely hook up with Martin. Get the link, attach his email. And I thank you so much, Martin, for being here today. This was a great conversation.
Amadio at retailmediaservices.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.